Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Right, so let's move that over there. So yeah, so basically this is a chemical reaction saying that carbon dioxide reacts with water to produce glucose and oxygen. This is what happens inside all plants, okay, and only in plants, pretty much, yeah. So let's look at some of these other key words then, like endothermic. If I click on it, it tells you a reaction in which energy is taken in. Now, some reactions produce energy and some reactions need energy to happen. And in this case, this is a reaction that uses energy to make it happen because it uses energy from light. So it uses energy from the sun. So that's what endothermic means, and exothermic is the opposite. Exothermic produces energy. So endothermic takes energy in, and exothermic gives energy out. This is endothermic because it takes energy in. Okay, does that make sense? So photosynthesis is a chemical reaction that takes energy in, it takes the energy in from the sun in this case. Photosynthesis takes energy from the sun, so that is why we say it is endothermic. Endothermic means a reaction that takes energy in. Now, exothermic, as I said, is a reaction that produces energy, and an example of that would be respiration. Respiration gives energy out, so respiration is exothermic. Exothermic means it gives energy out. Yeah, so I'll just wrap up this little bit then, and then we'll look at respiration. So we need light for photosynthesis to happen, and we also need something called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a substance in like something that's inside the plants, inside the plant cells that let photosynthesis happen, and they are found inside chloroplasts. So there are lots of other words and things to learn about photosynthesis. But let's talk now about respiration. The good thing is that respiration is the exact opposite of photosynthesis. In other words, it goes the opposite way round. So if I know the equation for respiration, or if I know the equation for photosynthesis, then respiration, yeah, it is. So then respiration is exactly the opposite way around. So that's photosynthesis, which means that respiration is exactly the opposite. So I write the stuff that's on the right, I write it on the left, and I do an arrow, and then the stuff that is on the left, I write on the right. So this is a chemical reaction called respiration, and it happens not just in plants, but in all living things. So that is what respiration is, and we can confirm that in just a moment. Let's just study to make sure we understand what this is saying. It is this before it was saying carbon dioxide and water react to produce glucose and oxygen. Now we're saying glucose and oxygen react together to make carbon dioxide and water. So the exact opposite of photosynthesis. So as long as you remember one of them, you can work out the other one very, very easily. So let's go ahead to let's go back to. So this is actually looking at photosynthesis. So let's go back to bioenergetics. And this time we'll look at respiration. And hopefully we should see fairly soon. We need to see the reaction. Okay, where's the actual reaction then? Exactly, there's that equation because it's the same. It's opposite way around to it's the opposite way around to photosynthesis, which is what I was saying. And that's what I've written here. You see, glucose and oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water. So respiration is the exact opposite to photosynthesis. Now, when you can watch this video, which you have a link to. Well, they're exactly the opposite. Yeah, like I said. So when you when you go to this website, when you go to this link, which you have access to, you can click play and it will watch and you can show the video and it will go over the basics of what respiration is. Now, it is worth saying that this is not just any old respiration. This is only aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, when you click on the little link, it will tell you that it's respiration that requires oxygen. So this is not just any respiration. This is aerobic respiration. Usually, when we talk about a respiration, we mean aerobic respiration. Once again, aerobic respiration is when you use oxygen. And here you can see we have oxygen there. So this is aerobic respiration, which means it uses oxygen. So anaerobic respiration, it doesn't use oxygen, and you can see it's slightly different. Glucose reacts and doesn't react with anything. It just breaks down on its own and it turns into something called lactic acid. Okay, so this is anaerobic respiration and it is different. There are a couple of things that we need to know that are different about it. So we've got glucose and it turns into lactic acid. Now, this is say that again, sorry. What was that? Lactic acid is just another substance that is produced in respiration, just like carbon dioxide is a substance and water is a substance. Lactic acid, it's just another substance that you won't. Anaerobic. So I was just in the middle of writing the title, anaerobic respiration. So this is without oxygen. Yes, and this one, the first one that we wrote was aerobic. So notice, whoops, that's wrong spelling. Notice that in the top one it doesn't have oxygen, in the bottom one it has oxygen. Okay, aerobic respiration. Now, so let's just briefly compare. So this one, no oxygen, and this one, oxygen. So we have oxygen involved. There is oxygen reacting with the glucose. Also, with the anaerobic, we have less energy produced. Okay, so it's not as good. It's not as good. And you can see also it produces lactic acid. This produces carbon dioxide and water. So now there is another type of anaerobic respiration as well that happens in plants, but this is anaerobic respiration in animals. Okay, so when this can happen, let's say if you're doing lots of exercise and you're not able to get the oxygen to your muscle cells quickly enough, then it'll produce lactic acid, and that's why, or that's possibly, scientists are still not entirely sure, but it's could well be the reason why we get muscle cramps. So when we are doing lots of exercise, if we do like light exercise, then we have enough oxygen to get to our muscles and we don't get lactic acid, so we don't get cramps, but we do use up our glucose. So that's aerobic respiration. So there is one other type of anaerobic respiration, and that is down here. Here it is. Again, it's anaerobic because there is no oxygen produced. Sorry, no oxygen used. So it's glucose, and this time it turns into something called ethanol. Now, ethanol is just the same. It's alcohol, basically, what we call alcohol. In reality, there are more than one type of alcohol. There's lots of different alcohols, but the one that we think of as alcohol, like in alcoholic drinks, is ethanol. So basically, another type of anaerobic respiration is when glucose turns into ethanol and again produces carbon dioxide and again some energy. Now this gets used. This reaction happens to produce alcoholic drinks, like in wine and beer. but also it's used to make bread rise. So as alcoholic drinks, we want the ethanol, but to make bread rise, we want the carbon dioxide. So we use the carbon dioxide to make the bread rise, and bubbles of carbon dioxide that pushes the bread out, and so we have this like nice soft bread. So and we use yeast to do that. Okay, so that's the basics of anaerobic respiration, and there's a sort of table that compares the two there. Okay, so why don't you just go to your so what I'll do is I'll just save that video there.